Rise to the stage and an open book with just actors living life out by the chapter. Hey, welcome back. It's me, EakDaFreak, and this is part 2 of my lyric explanation videos for the songs I have out. This week I will be doing the song Questions, which was my second release. Consider it actually in a lot of ways my first real release, because as I was going through the process of submitting the song through distributor and everything, the first song that I covered last week, Drug Abuse, was I knew it would be fucked up, so I didn't really promote it, didn't really do a lot of the things that I did for the subsequent releases. So with the song Questions, it started as most of my songs do, with me being kind of blackout fucked up, with one line just kind of bouncing around my head that I couldn't get out. In this particular case, it was a line from the first verse, which is, "Why does pride hide the real and make the fakes look realer?" So this line just kind of bounced and bounced and bounced until I decided I'm not doing anything for the next 4 hours because it's 2 a.m. and everyone's asleep, so I started writing. You'll notice in this song, for the first half, it is all set up as questions. Every line really is a question, not so much a rhetorical question, but kind of a question that floats around in the head a little bit, at least mine. And then the second half of the song is more so the idea of a questioning mentality being applied outward into the world and kind of the perspective that it creates or generates thereafter. So the song starts like this.
How long till I blow up and everybody show love? How long until I'm laughing at my critics like told ya? How long till I grow up? Stop drinking till I throw up? How long until the devil come to collect on what I sold him?
I'm just kind of bursting in there. I realized this was going to be the first song that a lot of people hear out of me, and I really just wanted to come in with that kind of God energy, but at the same time, I think it's important to, when you try to paint yourself very positively like that, how long till I blow up and everybody show love, that also there's an Achilles heel that has to be attached to that, or some type of damaging attribute, something to create the flawed hero instead of the image of perfection, which fuck that, nobody even likes that guy. But a flawed hero people can fuck with.
What actually happens when you drown genius in acid? What would my baby mama say if I make $1 million off this rapping? What would the friends I made in the Navy say if they heard CS2 snapping? What would the man inside the mirror say if he ever caught me lacking?
So line by line, that starts out with what actually happens when you drown genius in acid. This is a reference to myself and LSD. So that is what it is, which is really the theme of the first half of this first verse. It's just very random kind of questioning. And it will start to hone in a little closer on my own personal life as the song progresses, starting really right here, which is, what would my baby mama say if I made $1 million off this rapping? What if I did fuck around and make $1 million doing this shit? I wonder if people's perspective of what I'm doing would be different. I can only assume yes. So the next part is, what would the friends I made in the Navy say if they heard CS2 snapping? So I've been asked a lot about this line because of the CS2 part, which represents actually my rank and rate when I got out of the Navy in 2017. So CS2 would be culinary specialist, second class petty officer. And what would they say if they heard me snapping? Like going off on this song. And I knew they would hear it because I knew I was going to personally send it to every person I'd ever met. I love the reference of a man inside a mirror because it's othering, but at the same time, that is you. It's kind of an omniscient perspective of myself. After this, it starts to get a lot more personal and a lot more intimate to my own life, and it continues like this.
Why does pride hide the real and make the fakes look realer? Why the most beautiful girl I know won't post a pic with no filter? Why do legends die young? R.I.P. Juice and Mac Miller. Why ain't I text Kara back before she took the hit that killed her?
So the next line of this is, why does pride hide the real and make the fakes look realer? Like I said previously, this was the original lyric that was in my head that spawned this entire song. Everything grew outward from this. The very first part of the first verse is the last thing I wrote because it kind of all did spawn out from this one line. So the next line is, why the most beautiful girl I know won't post a pic with no filter? This was kind of a broad question into vanity itself. No matter who you are, there's always some type of filter that people put in between what is going on and what you see through this camera screen. The next line, why do legends die young? R.I.P. Juice and Mac Miller. And so I was just trying to set the kind of gravity around what was going on here. And shout out Juice, shout out Mac Miller. R.I.P. to you guys. And then the last line was, and why ain't I text Kara back before she took the hit that killed her? This line was about a dear friend of mine, Kara Tucker. And we had been talking to each other the week that she had died right up until maybe 2 or 3 days before, I had left a message open and not gotten to reply to it.
But I still see my daughter. If I was who I knew I should be, would a mom have even left? If I was half the man I said I would be, would my name be EakDaFreak? If I crave love like I do pussy, would Tyler Lee have took his life if I ain't used to be such a bully?
I'm really kind of beating myself up here, but this had all been very fresh. I had just had this breakup with my child's mom, and in a lot of ways, I had been working a 50-hour-a-week job and doing all the things that I felt like I needed to do. And it's easy to place blame and point the finger at everybody else. But what is not easy to do is look at yourself in the fucking mirror and think of what you could have did different. So the next lines are, would my name be EakDaFreak if I crave love like I do pussy? No. Would Tyler Lee have took his life if I ain't used to be such a bully? So this is another one of those very personal lines. This is a reference to a classmate of mine who did commit suicide, and he was bullied by a lot of people. It was like a thing that was just so overlooked, or so, it was just like a part of the flow of school and just how stuff was going. But then big boy shit happens, like people take their fucking lives, and that's stuff that you really have to live with, the way you treated people or the way you acted towards people. And not even the things that I might have did or said, but the things I saw, did, and said that I didn't say or do anything to stop. Those are all things that kind of culminate into this this very kind of interpersonal look into my life and into my head, and the questions that kind of bounce around on those late nights.
Everything in life's a question, but some questions don't have answers. The world's a stage in an open book. We're just actors living life out by the chapter. Not a question, don't bother trying to find the answers. When you tell your story, is it a tragedy or the times that you were...
It was kind of weird how this hook came to me. This kind of came in its entirety to me. I didn't write this. I did physically write it down on paper, but as I wrote it, I felt like I already had the melody and I already had the lyrics kind of there, and I just had to put them down, which is kind of how this whole song came out. People that know my creative process, it takes me a long time, and I'll beat myself the fuck up trying to make sure shit is perfect. And rarely do things come to me as quickly or as in a complete version as they did here. So the reference there obviously is the actors, stage, open book, and chapter to kind of tie together a narrative theme to life, which is really kind of how it goes. So the second part of the hook says, love is not a question. Don't bother trying to find the answer. When you tell your story, is it a tragedy or the times that you were dancing? Which was an important question to me at the time, because I just got done kind of grilling myself psychologically for 5 or 6 hours to get this song written. And I was thinking, if I had it all to tell back about, the stuff with my child, the stuff with Kara, the stuff with Tyler, I could easily say, that this was all a tragedy, that everything, woe is me, everything was bad. But just as easily, I could tell the positive side of that story. I could tell the little things in between that were good. And then I really started thinking, when you meet people, the first time you meet somebody, you get a chance to hear their brief overview, maybe in an introduction. And it's like, do people tell you their sob story, or do they tell you about, the good things? Do they tell you your hair looks nice, or do they tell you that they were running late this week for the 4th time and they're tired of it? It's all kind of a perspective thing or a narration thing for the same events. I really liked how this came out. This was the first time I'd done like a folkish kind of countryer inspired hook or country inspired melody, which I've kind of started to key on and do a lot more of with my later releases. So in the way that I said, the first verse was set up as all individual questions, something like 15, 16 questions. The second verse is taking that questioning mentality or questioning kind of base ideology and expanding it outward into the world. So it starts out like this.
First one was just a quick list of questions to keep me up at night. I've been searching for the answers till I got sunken eyes and my stomach tight. As a youngin', I always felt like I never could do nothing right. The voices in my head was getting louder than construction sites.
So this is actually a reference to using Adderall or abusing Adderall, maybe. Sunken eyes from staying up a long time, stomach tight from not eating. But it's also like a retrospective justification for I'm searching for the answers. That's why I'm doing this. I really put myself on blast in this song. I really wrote this song kind of about myself as if I weren't myself, but knew all the bad shit about myself. I make several references about schizophrenia. I've never been diagnosed with schizophrenia, but it's a very cool musical thing to key on when you're trying to tell people that you're fucked up.
Started getting drunk in high 17, I'm on the acid tabs. Introduced me to the universe, done too much and lost the passage back. Now my life's about as action-packed as Uber in Afghanistan. I found questions you can't answer, better than answers you can't question back.
So it comes right out of that. Voices in my head was getting louder than construction sites. Started getting drunk and high. 17, I'm on to acid tabs. Introduced me to the universe. Done too much and lost the passage back. So that's kind of a reference to if you've ever talked to, deadheads or hippie type folks or maybe even hipster type folks. They will tell you that, the LSD or mushrooms or psychedelic experience is kind of a key to the universe, or it kind of unlocks some things, which I totally agree with, unless you do it, say, like every other weekend for 6 months, in which case you will start to find yourself being so spaced the fuck out that you're not 100% sure that you're going to come back into this. Right after that is where it transitions and says, now my life's about as action-packed as Uber in Afghanistan. I learned questions you can't answer are better than answers you can't question back. So there I had wrote the action-packed line, and I was kind of looking for a rhyme, an end rhyme that would go with action-packed. And Afghanistan actually works as a slant rhyme, so we did throw that in there. And then how the beat drops out from under it when I say that was it kind of to make it more clear of what I was saying, because it's a lot of syllables kind of grouped in there. So I found questions you can't answer are better than answers you can't question back. So that last line is going to lead me into this next little 4-bar section right here, which is really, really expanding the questioning idea outward into my world.
That's when I start to realize my school books had been filled with lies. History is synthesized so resistance can be minimized. Prop tyrants up as saviors while the real heroes get vilified. To learn who's in control, identify who you can't criticize.
Once I got older, I was a history major in college for several years. Once you really start to do some digging, some historical digging, you start to realize that most of the stuff we learned in school was bullshit. The people that they tell you were the saviors of the world or the greatest people of all time, FDR comes to mind to me when I think of this personally, actually did a lot to throw this country in the shitter, in my uneducated fucking opinion. But while the real heroes get vilified, to learn who's in control, identify who you can't criticize. And that's a interpretive line for you guys to decide what it means to you. So the last 4 bars of this song go like this.
The answers to my questions, kids in right fields, I can't catch them. But I've always been a dreamer, maybe that's why I get slept on. And just one last suggestion, of my perfection still under question. Here's 30 perfect bars you motherfuckers should reflect on.
So the first one is kind of a Catcher in the Rye reference there. The answers to my questions, because this whole point of this song is I'm trying to find these answers. Our kids in rye fields, I can't catch them. But it's a reference to the J.D. Salinger, I think that's who wrote The Catcher in the Rye. He named the book after an older poem of where a guy was like having these visions or these dreams of kids running around in a rye field and they were falling off. And it was kind of his desire to do something positive to society that he couldn't put into actuation. And so he kills himself in the original poem, I'm pretty sure. And if it's not, that's what I thought happened when I wrote the song. So it's the answers to my questions are kids in rye fields, I can't catch them, but I've always been a dreamer, maybe that's why I get slept on. And just one last suggestion, if my perfection's still under question, here's 32 perfect bars you motherfuckers should reflect on. So that has been the kind of line by line of everything in this song. I tried to give you guys a lot of the substrata of what I was thinking at the time when all of this came out. If you guys have any questions, which maybe you will, drop those down in the comments. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button on my channel, hit the little bell with the parentheses. That will be very good for me and very good for you if you like this video and want to see some more. I got at least 3 more of these coming. I'll probably have at least 1 more song done and out by the time you guys are seeing this. But I hope you guys enjoyed and have a fucking swell day.
How long till I blow up and everybody show love? How long until I'm laughing at my critics like told ya? How long till I grow up? Stop drinking till I throw up? How long until the devil come to collect on what I said?